Welcome back to The Foundry, brought to you by Forge College. I'll be your chief engineer today, and we've got an absolutely fantastic explainer lined up for you. We're diving deep into vulnerability assessment methodologies for Solana DApps. You know, taking all that raw, chaotic test data you've been generating and, well, forging it into an airtight, actionable security report. So let's just jump right in.
Okay, so in our last lesson, we completely nailed proxy setup strategies for dynamic proxies, right? Which means we actually know how to run the tools, set up the harnesses, and generate just a massive amount of output. But here's the thing, raw signals like failing tests, static warnings, or sanitizer traces, they aren't actually very useful on their own. Now, we need a really rigorous methodology to process all the chaos those tools spit out. We have to bridge that gap between just running a tool and actually delivering a prioritized, scoped issue that an engineering team can, easily fix.
So here's our engineering protocol for today's explainer. First, the blueprint. Second, stress testing. Third, the triage protocol. And finally, number 4, the debug report. Let's get to work.
All right, Section 1, the blueprint, mapping the attack surface.
I want you to think of your Solana DApp exactly like a complex, heavy-duty machine. Before we start, swinging hammers at it, we absolutely have to define its structural boundaries, what we call the attack surface. This is essentially the complete list of every single public instruction and expected account in the program. You've got to document every entry point, every required privilege, and every state change, because honestly, if you don't know exactly where the machine begins and ends, you have no idea where it's vulnerable.
Moving on to Section 2, stress testing, static and dynamic analysis.
So, once our blueprint is fully mapped out, it is time to turn this machine on, crank the dials all the way to maximum, and see what rattles loose. We basically divide this into 2 different approaches. First, we have static checks, things like cargo-clippy or cargo-audit, which basically verify the structural math on paper before you even power it up. And then there's dynamic analysis, like fuzzing or running test validators. That's where we actively grab the machine and shake it violently while it's running to see if any gears fly off. To do this right, you absolutely need both.
But listen, automated tools, they aren't going to catch everything. And that brings us to manual review targets. You really have to use your own eyes to hunt for common Solana pitfalls. We're talking about things like missing account validation, bypassed signer checks, subtle rent exemption assumptions, and of course, unchecked cross-program invocations, or CPIs. Honestly, leaving an unchecked CPI in your code is literally like leaving the keys in a running bulldozer. Somebody is absolutely going to hop in and drive off with your entire protocol.
Which brings us to Section 3, triage protocol, severity classification.
Okay, so you've shaken the machine, and boom, some pieces fell off. Now we initiate the triage protocol. This is a concept we constantly drill into students at Forge College. We have to strip away the emotion and use completely concrete criteria. For instance, a low severity issue, that's purely informational, essentially like complaining about the paint color on the machine. Medium means you found specific logic bugs. High severity indicates a privilege escalation, which is like finding a cracked foundation. But critical? Well, that means the exploit is trivial, irreversible, and someone just walked off with the entire vault.
And that takes us to Section 4, the reproducible debug report.
This right here is the ultimate output of our entire workflow. We're not talking about sending a casual email. We are building an airtight, evidence-backed case file. A truly professional debug report requires a very strict folder structure. You need a logs folder for your raw outputs, a reproduction folder for the exact test scripts that trigger the bug, and a findings markdown file for the summary. Because if you just tell a developer, hey, it panicked, they literally can't do anything with that unless they have the raw logs and a minimal test strip to back it up.
Now, inside that findings file, you must follow these 4 exact steps for every single issue. Step 1, a clear title and severity classification. 2, the exact affected instructions. 3, the exact reproduction commands, and I mean down to the specific file names and command line inputs. And 4, a short, maybe 1 to 3 line security justification describing exactly why this impacts security. Structuring it this way makes the report perfectly compact, leaving absolutely zero room for guesswork by the engineers who have to read it.
Just think about the difference here. Compare a completely useless, noisy, raw tool output, like a giant wall of text that just screams, "Error 500, something broke," with a structured, reproducible finding. Any engineer in the world should be able to take your structured commands, paste them into a fresh shell, and watch the exact same bug happen locally within 2 minutes. That right there, that is the absolute gold standard of a vulnerability assessment. I really want to anchor this core truth in your mind today. Reproducibility matters more than an initial signal. I honestly don't care how scary that error log looked on your screen. If you cannot reliably reproduce the crash on a fresh test validator instance using the exact scripts in your report, then it is not a verified finding. Actually, scratch that. It's basically just a ghost in the machine at that point. The true value of your assessment is entirely based on its actionability.
So, here's a somewhat provocative question to leave you with. Let's say you've built your blueprint, you've shaken the machine, fixed all the cracked foundations, and your DApp survives the stress test with 0 actionable findings. Are you actually ready to launch a simulated attack? Because the next logical step here is penetration testing and exploit simulations in an isolated environment, taking these very same reproduction scripts and really escalating them. To continue leveling up your Web3 engineering skills and dive into that next phase, make sure to visit forge.college to learn more about this subject and explore all of our other topics. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep building securely.